Something strange has been happening inside women's sports, and it all exploded the moment Caitlin Clark signed a deal nobody saw coming. One contract sent shockwaves through two completely different leagues, sparked a social media storm, and exposed a rivalry the WNBA has tried to keep buried for years. The question now isn't why the LPGA wanted her. That part is obvious. The real mystery is why this single move caused such a loud, emotional reaction from inside Clark's own league, especially from one of its biggest stars. And once you see the full picture, the entire situation becomes a lot harder to ignore. When the news dropped, fans thought it was just another endorsement until the details came out. This wasn't some quick photoshoot deal or a one-off appearance. The LPGA locked Caitlin Clark into a multi-million-dollar partnership built like a full-scale crossover campaign. We're talking branded events, nationwide promotions, joint media coverage, and long-term marketing rights that tie her image directly to women's golf. It was bold, unexpected, and honestly brilliant. One rookie just became the bridge between two entire sports, and sponsors practically tripped over themselves trying to join in. The moment the announcement hit, the internet lit up. Supporters were celebrating her rise, while others, including a few familiar faces in the WNBA, weren't nearly as excited, and that's where the story takes a much sharper turn. Aja Wilson didn't mention Caitlin Clark by name. She didn't have to. One short tweet was enough to detonate the entire conversation. "So you can miss buckets and still get golf checks these days?" That was all she wrote, and instantly every corner of social media pointed in the same direction. People flooded her replies telling her to just say Caitlin because everyone knew exactly who she meant. What made it sting even more was the contrast behind their careers. Aja has 2 MVPs, multiple championships, and a resume most athletes would dream about. Yet she's never been granted the marketing spotlight Clark receives just by existing online. And the fans only intensified it, some defending Caitlin like she was a national hero, others accusing Aja of being jealous or insecure. But here's the part most people missed. That tweet wasn't born from pettiness. It came from years of feeling overshadowed, years of being the best but not being treated like the face. And once the LPGA deal went public, the tension these players kept off camera finally cracked. And this wasn't just a personal clash, it exposed something much bigger happening inside the WNBA. The reaction to Aja's tweet wasn't just about her and Caitlin. It uncovered a split that's been quietly growing inside the WNBA for years. Veterans who built the league through grit and consistency suddenly feel the spotlight drifting toward a newcomer who arrived with an entire media storm behind her. And it's not because Caitlin isn't talented, it's because she represents something the league has never had before: instant visibility. For players who've dominated long before the camera showed up, that shift is hard to ignore. Aja is the perfect example. She's been the league's standard of excellence, yet the moment Clark steps into the room, every headline flips in her direction. Even championship moments get overshadowed by whatever Clark posts online that day. What makes this divide even sharper is how fans amplify it. Clark's supporters praise her impact. Aja's supporters argue she's being overlooked. The result? A feud that the league never intended but now can't control. One that's turning teammates, rivals, and entire fan bases into opposing sides. And as all of this drama unfolds, another layer of the story begins to surface, one that explains why the LPGA pushed so hard for Caitlin in the first place. What most people don't realize is that the LPGA deal didn't appear overnight. It was the final step in a months-long strategy quietly orchestrated behind the scenes. And Nike was right in the middle of it. Their goal wasn't just to sign an athlete. They wanted to build a crossover brand, someone who could pull audiences from one sport into another, someone who didn't just play the game, but moved culture every time her name trended. Caitlin Clark was the perfect choice. She isn't just a basketball star, she's a walking viewership spike. Any league she touches sees an immediate jump in clicks, merchandise sales, and social buzz. So when the LPGA saw the chance to link their entire tour to her momentum, they didn't hesitate. They crafted a partnership big enough to shake two sports at once, knowing Clark brings an audience no marketing department can manufacture. From a business angle, the move was genius. From the WNBA's angle, it was a disaster waiting to happen. Because while the LPGA was celebrating a breakthrough moment, players inside the WNBA were left wondering why a rookie was getting opportunities the league's biggest names have chased for years. And that's where the story turns explosive, because Aja's tweet was only the beginning of the backlash. The moment Aja's tweet hit the timeline, the internet split in half. Within hours, her name was trending for all the wrong reasons. Fans called her bitter, jealous, threatened, labels that stuck fast and spread even faster. Some compared her reaction to the athletes who resented Tiger Woods when he first transformed golf, saying it looked like history was repeating itself. Others defended her, arguing she had every right to feel overlooked after carrying the league for years. But the harshest part? Every insult, every joke, every debate only pushed Caitlyn's name higher. The more people criticized Aja, the more Clark trended. It was the exact opposite of what Aja intended, and the internet made sure she knew it. Even when she tried to downplay the comment later, insisting it was just a joke, the damage had already been done. Social media had chosen its narrative, and it wasn't letting go. This moment didn't just reveal frustration, it revealed vulnerability. A superstar who'd spent years at the top suddenly watching someone newer, younger, and more marketable eclipse her without even trying. And as the online firestorm kept growing, it forced the league and its fans to confront a bigger problem simmering under the surface. Because Aja's tweet wasn't the real tipping point. It was simply the spark that exposed how unstable things already were. By the time the dust started to settle, the situation had already grown far beyond a single comment. What began as one frustrated tweet had turned into something much bigger. A tension point capable of reshaping the entire WNBA if it keeps building. Behind closed doors, players are feeling the pressure. Some veterans believe Clark's rapid rise has rewritten the league's priorities overnight, while younger players see her as the spark finally pushing women's basketball into the mainstream. And caught between those viewpoints is a league trying to pretend everything is fine. The truth is, the WNBA benefits from the drama even if it damages relationships. Every argument, every rumor, every viral tweet keeps viewers tuned in, controversy sells, and the league knows it. But what they're not addressing is how this resentment can bleed into locker rooms, interviews, and even team chemistry. A divide like this doesn't stay online for long, and the timing couldn't be more complicated. Rumors say the LPGA is planning a joint exhibition event involving both their stars and WNBA players, a charity showcase meant to promote unity. On paper, it sounds uplifting. In reality, it could become one of the most painfully awkward moments in sports. Imagine Caitlin Clark teeing off beside Nelly Korda while Aja Wilson forces a camera-ready smile. One wrong expression, one offhand comment, and the internet will explode again. All of this sets the stage for a bigger question. If one deal created this much tension, what happens when Caitlin's influence grows even more? At the center of this entire situation sits a truth that nobody in the league wants to say out loud. In today's sports world, accomplishment isn't the currency anymore. Visibility is. And that's where the gap between Aja Wilson and Caitlin Clark becomes impossible to ignore. Aja has the trophies, the dominance, the resume built from years of grinding through the league. But Caitlin has something brands consider even more valuable, a spotlight that never switches off. Companies aren't chasing the most decorated athlete. They're chasing the athlete people talk about nonstop. And whether you love her or not, Caitlin Clark brings an intensity of attention the WNBA hasn't seen in decades. Every game she plays becomes a trending topic. Every interview pulls in new eyes. Every appearance, even outside basketball, turns into a marketing event. That kind of influence can't be taught, and it can't be faked. Meanwhile, Aja's frustration grows because she knows she's earned everything she has, yet the world still seems more fascinated by Clark's newest endorsement than her latest championship. That imbalance eats away at any athlete, no matter how confident they appear. What makes it even worse is Clark's strategy of silence. She doesn't respond, doesn't clap back, doesn't even hint at the drama, and that lack of reaction only strengthens her image. She lets the noise work for her while she moves on to her next deal. So the question becomes, how long can the league operate with its most accomplished star feeling overshadowed and its most visible star unintentionally pulling the spotlight away from everyone else? And this is where the story reveals something deeper than just a rivalry. What we're seeing between Caitlin Clark and Aja Wilson isn't just about talent, endorsements, or one headline-grabbing partnership. It's about a league caught between two eras, the stars who built its foundation and the newcomer who suddenly shifted its ceiling. One athlete represents legacy, the other represents attention. And if the WNBA can't balance those forces, this tension won't fade. It'll grow. Because the truth is, Caitlin isn't slowing down. She's expanding into golf, into fashion, into tech, into every market that sees her as the next breakout icon. And every move she makes pushes her further into a spotlight the league desperately needs, but can't fully control. Meanwhile, Aja stands at a crossroads. She can stay frustrated as the conversation keeps passing her by, or she can flip the narrative, lean into the attention, and show the world she's more than the athlete who fired off one heated tweet. But here's the real question. Is this conflict the spark that propels the WNBA into a bigger future, or the fracture that could split its stars even further apart? That answer depends on how the league, the players, and the fans handle the spotlight Clark continues to generate. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want more stories just like it, make sure to subscribe. You won't miss anything we drop next.